Hi, it's Scott ROCKFILE back with another podcast review for you. This is going to be a discussion about clickbait, rage bait, and how it's getting into everything, but you don't have to let it. This is one of two podcasts I really didn't want to do. I don't do anything that I consider quote-unquote serious. If I'm talking about a movie release or a new album or whatever, that's art. It's not, it's not life-saving stuff I'm talking about, and I don't think this is either. But there is something permeating social media, and there are ways to fight it, and it's not what you think. So anyway, long story short, a few things happened in my life that gave me an epiphany. For one, a coworker asked me a question about a year and a half ago, and it made me rethink a lot of things. Every once in a while, I think a human needs to reset themselves. Take, for example, I don't think vinyl is that big a deal. I got out of vinyl a long time ago. Vinyl fades over time. Vinyl doesn't sound as good the 30th time as it did the first time. I'm just not a fan. You have to flip it over every 18 to 20 minutes. I'm a big fan of high resolution, immersive audio, spatial audio, surround sound, high resolution stuff at much higher resolutions that even vinyl or analog can get to. But am I wrong? Just every once in a while I have to reset. So I got back into vinyl for a little while and I did A/B comparisons and I did the research and I came out with, no, I'm still right. I'm just not a vinyl fan. If you want to do the retro thing, great, more power to you. But for me, vinyl doesn't serve any need other than some nostalgic need to own a piece of plastic. And I like CDs. I like high-resolution files. I have a massive collection of those things, and they sound better on my system. Does vinyl sound better on some systems than others? Absolutely. But it's because it's an analog sound, not so much that it's the music or it just sounds better. Anyway, long story short, this was an example of me resetting myself, beliefs of mine that I'd had forever, that am I wrong? So a friend asked me a pointed question about news, and did I believe this or this? And I'm like, you know what, I believe this, but let me do some research. So in the long research, I came up and divided how I do podcasts, how I do my radio show is coming up with ideas, things I want to say, and then finding how to say them in the shortest amount of time possible, the fewest words possible to not lose you. So I narrowed down this massive topic that this question set off in me, and I did a year and a half of research, and here's what I've come up with. Anything I say in either of the two discussion podcasts I'm about to post is verifiable. You can go look it up. I am not a journalist. I'm not pretending to be a journalist. I've worked in the media for 40 years. I know what I'm talking about, but you want to go look it up, go look it up. I did the research before I started talking. A year and a half of research, and I'm going to talk about rage bait, clickbait, trolling, how this has become part of our marketing culture. None of this should piss you off. None of this should make you mad, other than the fact that companies are using this against you in ways you are not even thinking about. And again, I'm not trying to sound some big alarm bell. This all stemmed from the fact that somebody said to me while we were talking about something else, well, how do you keep your feed free from garbage? I'm like, well, I don't click on garbage. I don't click on things that make me angry, and that led down the rabbit hole of what's going on. I will give you two examples that have nothing to do. Well, let's go back a little bit. I've been on the internet since Al Gore invented it. That's a joke. But anyway, since the very beginning when we were just message boards, bulletin boards on dial-up and that kind of stuff, I have watched all the trends in my life. I've been a computer nerd. My stepfather taught me how to build a computer from scratch. I've been into technology, and I've worked in the media. I've had news departments under me. If you follow me on social media, I said recently, there is no one more immersed in current events than people that work in the media, radio, TV, newspaper, all of it. We have to pay attention and digest everything that happens. I got to be able to talk about it on the radio if all of a sudden the Masters is happening and I don't follow golf, if that kind of makes sense. So to kind of be immersed in it all the time, we have also figured out ways to turn it off. This leads into wow. So back in the day, in the early days of the internet, say 10 to 15 years ago, in the early days of social media, I was asked to run a group that was a buy-sell trade group for a collectible toy, a collectible figure. And early on, we realized that trolls added nothing to what we were doing. People would just come in and bash you for the kind of these figures you liked. Maybe they didn't like the cartoon character or the company that it was based on or whatever, but they would just well, the whole idea of the group was to buy, sell, and trade these things. Anything else doesn't add to the conversation. So we quickly developed a zero tolerance policy on trolling. If you don't have anything to add to the conversation and you basically are just there to post negative stuff, and we all know trolls exist. I mean, this is now a thing on the internet, to be contrary just to be contrary. We quickly became the number one group of such things because we took a zero tolerance policy on anybody trolling. What really was the turning point for me is that some young person kept me in a chat for over 2 hours trying to explain why this was important. Only after 2 hours for him to go, yeah, I understood you from the beginning. I just wanted to waste your time. I don't have that kind of time in my life, and I'm sorry if you do, but I have no time for it. So in my personal life, I have a zero tolerance for trolling. We have gotten into the habit of laughing at things we think are not funny, but it's kind of a passive-aggressive negativity. I don't get that. I don't understand this whole my opinion of something is all knowing, all being. That's what trolls do. They will find whatever pushes your button and do the opposite, or do that. They will do whatever the opposite is you like to push your buttons to make you angry, to just waste your time. So anyway, that was a story to tell you how I got here. Trolling became clickbait. We have always had sensationalism, but most people can see through sensationalism. The kind of things like headlines that, couldn't possibly be true, but they're so crazy you have to click on them. We've had the National Enquirer since the dawn of time, people. Do we not remember this? So there's all sorts of stuff on the TikToks, on the Reels, on the social medias that this person said this company did this whatever, to create outrage and anger in you. And then you go click on it, and it's really just recycled story from old. It's garbage. It didn't have any substance to it. It was all about the image. We have all clicked on this stuff. We used to call it clickbait. We used to call it sensationalism. Well, now they've added trolling to that, and now it's called ragebait. Companies posting things to make you angry to keep you watching. You're going to think I'm talking about the news, and yes, that is the spin-off podcast this will be about, what is really news. But the news media, let me give you 2 examples, as I started to say, of things that don't have anything to do with news or politics, that are an example of rage bait being used against you and you don't know it. Adobe is a company that sells tools for creators. I'm recording this on Adobe Audition, an audio editor. They have Photoshop. They have Lightroom. They have all of these things for creators to create, to make better photos, to make better art, to make better art. So as companies do, and we have a love-hate relationship with them because Adobe hides everything behind subscriptions and makes it very hard for you to get out of those subscriptions without paying large penalties. In contrast, there is a video software I use, comes from one of the biggest companies in the world. You get a 95% functioning version of their software, but if you need the extra 5%, like if you're making motion pictures with it, then you pay $300 and you own it outright. They don't lock you into a subscription service. But Adobe, that's the love-hate. We love their tools, but we have to subscribe to them. So anyway, they posted some marketing, an ad for the newest versions of their latest technology. It came up in my Facebook feed. I don't usually click on those because I use Adobe, but it's not a movie ad or an ad for something else that I might buy or watch or whatever. It's okay. Adobe is advertising, but I also don't hide it or get rid of it because, I do use Adobe products and I don't want to completely hide Adobe from my feed. They posted a nice picture of a woman outdoors and I didn't really pay much attention to it. But day after day, this was at the top of my feed when I would check. And I'm like, okay, strange that an ad in the first place, the same ad, pops to the top of my feed. Second, that it was this Adobe ad. So I started looking at it, and it's pretty obvious that the picture is AI. At first, I was like, okay, maybe they're trying to make a point. I don't know. Then I realized, look at the comments. There were hundreds of comments driving that post. And most of it was, I can't believe a company like Adobe would post an AI picture. Well, if you actually clicked on the link and went to the site, they admitted what they were doing. We posted AI to get you to realize we need more creators. We need more people making better stuff to fight AI. But people don't read the article anymore. They only see the graphic or the headline. And people were bashing the crap out of them for not realizing they had posted an AI picture. You really didn't think they did that on purpose? I realized this when companies like Disney, when I talked about the group I ran and the zero trolling policy, any company can implement that. You're not stepping on anybody's rights to block people from your website. That's like we refuse service to certain people. If you're going to come in and be a, pardon my French, asshole, we're going to kick you out because we were buying and selling and trading expensive toys. Why do we need people being assholes in there? Anyway, that's just one example of Adobe knew exactly what they were doing. They were posting trolling bait, rage bait, clickbait, whatever you want to call it. They posted an AI image for a company that really, they have some AI tools, but they're not asking you to create with AI. That's not what Adobe does. But again, the responses drove the marketing, and they know that. Again, I was going to say that companies like Star Wars and Disney, they could block trolling, but they don't. Because they get more negative comments on some of their movies and posts than they do positive ones. And these days, any kind of engagement drives more engagement. It's a vicious cycle. So on my social media this morning, I posted, don't click on things you hate. Don't click on things you don't like. Some things are designed to make you mad. If it's a politician, if it is a rock star, if it is a sporting figure, if it is a podcaster, and they're saying something hugely controversial that just sends you insane, go look it up on your favorite news app. Go Google it. Go ChatGPT it, whatever. I'm not recommending AI in any stretch or form. I've already said that I don't use AI in my podcast, and I think it's right for some things. It helps me fly drones. It's not going to help me write or do a podcast. This is my actual voice on a Saturday. This is what I sound like when I'm talking in front of a microphone. Anyway. So clickbait, rage bait is in everything. Let me give you another example. Adobe posting an AI picture that is harmless, but is that a company you want? Is that the kind of marketing you want? They are hoping that they got some rage off that to drive people to click on the link. In essence, as a marketing idea, it's not a horrible idea, but it's feeding the algorithm of negativity. AI is figuring out what you click on. And if you click on negative all the time, you are going to get more negative. So here's another one. There is a rising, she might be on TikTok, she might be on YouTube. I'm not real sure. I'm not on the TikToks. I don't do reels and stuff. Not because I have a problem with them, although I can make a case for that and probably will in my news podcast. I work in an industry that everything is 30 to 60 seconds. I do these podcasts because I can talk as long as I want. I don't want to start editing myself down to 30 and 60 seconds. It's what I do in my job all day long. So anyway, that's why I'm not into reels and shorts and things like that. Anyway, that's not what I consume, but I understand you do. I'm not negative about that. There is a rising social media person on several of these, who posted a video. She is cute, she is young, she is at a way expensive restaurant. Off camera, someone says that the table next to you has left their bill, and somehow, shape, or form, they make an excuse that you have to pay for it, and we're adding an incredible tip on top of it. The video is timed out in a certain way that certain things happen at a certain time. And then the rest of the video is her reaction. The videos end without a resolution. If you look at the comments underneath these, is everybody, girl, they can't make you do that, that kind of stuff. And it's hundreds of these people going, how rude that restaurant would do something like that. I won't call somebody out for being fake unless I know that to be true. This is a skit. This is basically an SNL skit, because she did the same thing 3 times in 4 days. How many times have you ever been to a restaurant where you were stuck with someone else's bill, that it was over 6 figures? She did the same thing 3 times, 4 days. The wait person is always off camera. You never see the whole restaurant. She's back against the wall with a nice setting in front of her. It is a staged scam, but Her other videos don't do as well as these, so she's doing more of them. Is that the kind of person you want to follow? Is that the social media that we're gonna encourage? I get it if she did it once and that actually happened. That's a horrible thing. But folks, she did it 3 times in 4 days. How many times are you going to get stuck with a bill at a restaurant ever? Much less, is she the most unlucky person in the world? Is she just cute and young and they're picking on her? That's some of the comments. People are stupid. I'm sorry, but I looked, and this was used in an example. I follow a YouTuber named Levi Hildebrand. He used to have a channel called, it was called Future Proof. Shh. Somebody owned that copyright, and once he got big, they sued him, and he basically turned the channel into his own name. He did a whole thing on ragebait. After I had been studying this for over a year, he came to the same conclusions I did. Just don't click on the stuff. Again, if you see something that causes rage in you, go look it up in a source that you actually trust. But if you want hate and anger and outrage all the time in your social media, then click on every single one of those you see. The false outrage and that girl getting stuck with a bill when it was all just for show, just to drive hits to her channel. Those 3 videos got over 1 million comments each, or 1 million views each, where her other standard videos showing off a purse or a donut or whatever, they got a few thousand. Maybe tens of thousands, but the ones that, oh my God, how unjust for her to be the level of stupidity. Sure, in these modern times, we don't know how much of that is bots, how much of those people are real. But again, this is the rise of trolling becoming clickbait, becoming rage bait. These are 2 ways that I have illustrated that don't have anything to do with news or politics or anything else. One was Adobe, one was a young rising star. They are using things that make you angry, that make you react to drive their algorithm, to drive their hits. I have never been that shock jock. I've never been Howard Stern. We all learned in the Howard Stern movie that people who hate him listen more than people who like him. They want to hear what he's going to say next. Amplify that by social media. We have all these guys on YouTube who have created these lovable / asshole characters. We love them. They're good looking. They're cute. They're funny. But they're also say some really crazy and sometimes very polarizing things. The clicks go up, the hate comments. If you are posting things to get the hate comments to drive your algorithm, I usually unfollow you, sometimes even block you. I don't need that in my life. If you have a real reason to be outraged, if you got screwed at the drive-thru, we have groups for that. There's an Alaska rage page or a bad business page where people go on and go, I got bad service at this. I got bad food here. I got food poisoning, and you can go in there and they should turn off anonymous posting because you'd have a lot less crap in there. But basically, if you have a beef, you can go in there and say, here's a beef. If you're one of those people that need to post that, then do so. But there are places for it. And if you're constantly posting negativity about whatever the subject, maybe you hate disco music. I'm glad you hate disco music. Tell me about what you love. Do that with everything, folks. When you're on social media, you are what you click on. And even if I just want to see what they said. I just want to see what that video is. That is driving the algorithm. Stop feeding it. When I see something crazy, I go look it up elsewhere. And when I see something I like on it. I click love on it. I'll even share it. So that's how you can fight your feed. That's how you can fight the algorithm. That's how you can fight negativity. Try to make this not about politics, not about news, not about religion. It's about just not being angry all the time, and don't let that feed what's become a marketing tool. Be happy. Turn off social media. Turn off the news. My recommendations. Get news from trustworthy news source. I wanted to say trusted, but some people trust news that's not trustworthy. I will have a podcast to tell you how to trust news, how to trust what you are reading or seeing is actual news and not opinion or total BS. We will talk about that in another podcast. Again, that won't be about politics. It won't be about religion. It'll be about something I know about. I've been in the media for 40 years. I've been on social media a long time. I've run groups. I know what trolling is. I know what clickbait is. I know what rage bait is. But I saw it in things that it shouldn't be in, where a company that makes Photoshop is using rage bait to drive Star Wars has posted things. Disney has posted things to make you angry. They know you don't like remakes, but we still go to see them, don't we? Because you got to know, right? I'm all for equal time. I'm all for free speech. I'm all for posting what you want. But the constant stream of negativity and people clicking on things because I just wanted to see what they would say, I save that for other things. It's not that I'm sticking my head in the sand. Believe me, I know what's going on. I really do. I know what's going on in the news. I see all sides, both sides, 10 sides. It's not binary. It's not black and white. Pay attention, people. That's all you got to do. But when it comes to marketing, social media is marketing. The idea is to keep you on the platform longer, and you stay longer when you click on things that enrage you, that drive you crazy, that you just can't believe. I'd rather see my friends. I'd rather see news about movies and music and my friends touring. And one of my music friends that I'm going to interview in a couple of weeks posted that he listened to a box set of a classic album from the 70s. That was a really interesting post, and I'm glad it wasn't buried between a whole bunch of advertisements for bras and other things that don't relate to my life. Or not that bras are negative. Sorry, I didn't want to. Anyway, long story short, I've talked way too much on this, and I will probably talk way too much on the news, but that's what the other discussion will be about. You can have a positive influence on what you digest. It is all up to you. Stop clicking on the things that you hate. Go look it up somewhere else. Enjoy social media for being social, because it actually can be. I'm Scott. I'm ROCKFILE. More podcasts are on the way. I promise more reviews, especially horror reviews during the month of October. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing, and have a spectacular day.